Hey kids, how would you like to hear this on the screen instead of the great show you came to see? That's what you sound like. Honest. Please cooperate and do your part in keeping this theater quiet so everyone, including you, can enjoy. Remember, lots of adults and kids too paid admission to enjoy the show. We must insist on absolute quiet.
Welcome to the Fandom Outpost, your podcast for all things pop culture.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Fandom Outpost. As always, I am 1/3 your host. My name is Mark.
I'm Jim.
I'm Bob. Hi everybody. Welcome to the show. We just wanted to talk about what the state of movies are going into the summer because there's been some alarming trends popping up and it's difficult to know if it's the norm or outliers or what's an outlier and what's the norm, with last year with Barbie and Oppenheimer. Like everyone got pretty excited about what was going on at the box office, and you come around to this summer and it's like Fall Guy's not doing well, Furiosa's not doing well, and it's like, what's going on? Is this like the norm? Is this going to be what it is from now on? Or is it just bad movies? Or what's happening? So we have a lot to kind of dive into. And I'm hoping we draw on some of our experience. I know all of us have worked at a movie theater together way back in the Stone Age. And I thought maybe we can draw on some of the past and apply it to the present. So with that, I guess we should dive into what it used to be way back when we'd see a movie.
Let me ask you a question over here. Did you see Furiosa?
Yeah.
Did you like it?
I liked it. I liked it. I like seeing it in the theater. I thought it was something that I think that a movie is what brings you to a movie, is if it's something you should see in a theater to get the full experience. What that experience entails is another question. What comes with the atmosphere of that experience?
Right.
People on phones, people talking, blah, blah, blah. We can get into that.
Right.
That's a separate issue. But seeing the movie on a big screen with the Dolby Atmos and everything going on in the current state of technology it was awesome. I mean, it's just great to see. But that's not the total picture, right?
Right. But I asked you that because, I haven't seen Furiosa. So it's not that I don't want to, but you bring up such a really strong point. And that is, I do not hear what you just said, meaning you got to go see that on the big screen from, say, my kids. They don't ever talk like that. If they go see it, they go see it. Or, my son-in-law will be like, hey, man, I want to check that out. We should go see that. Like, he doesn't refer to it as an experience on the big screen. If he missed it and we check it out on one of our home TVs, he's cool with it, which is weird. So that phrase that you're using, I don't know where that phrase fits in that pantheon of what's going on, because I think there's very few who will say that. I say it, but I'm from the same generation as the two gentlemen next to me. So,
right.
Jim, what do you think about all that?
Well, do you guys maybe find that it's a generational thing? My daughter's content on watching anything on her phone.
Oh, man.
Right? So she's been kind of conditioned from tablet to phone to, she's going to be able to watch it on her watch, I'm sure, soon. But I think the presentation and films that are made for a particular presentation, like the Mad Max and Fury Road and Furiosa, that's one of those, or like the Apes movie that we saw. It's like it was designed. Yeah, it was designed to be seen that way, right?
Yeah.
But again, I think it's generational in order to get, older folks like us will appreciate that, but I think a younger audience doesn't matter so much to them.
So what you're saying is we need more Christopher Nolan movies.
Well,
if you want to watch something filmed not in a correct time sequence, yeah, if you want to watch him jump around,
Oh my God.
yeah, sure. That's
Jim dropping bombs over here.
Well, there's a combination of like the perfect storm kind of deal with movies being the cost of movies. To take a family of 4, it's probably,
yes,
you're talking over $75, probably more, maybe, with goodies and
in any
everything.
economy,
Right.
yes,
So it's not as easy as it used to be to just say, let's just all jump in the car and go to the movies, and it's $4 tickets and $2 popcorns, and for 10-15 bucks you're in and out. Now it's kind of like a commitment. What do we want to? Is this really worth all that money to go see this? Is that is it that big of a deal? And you
Sure.
get that combined with things coming into streaming a lot sooner than they used to.
Yeah.
Movies would come out and you'd have like, well, God, Star Wars, we go way back. Star Wars, you had to wait 2 years or something for something new. And I mean, no one can even fathom it nowadays, probably, but because everything comes out within a month. I mean, within weeks, I think now, like Fall Guy came on streaming like within 3 weeks.
At the same time that it's in the theater, right?
The on-demand thing version of it, like it'll maybe come out at the same
Sure.
time. You just have to pay for it.
Oh, for the $20 or
Yeah,
whatever,
so something like that. Yeah, so it's like, so you could
Video on
see it
demand,
at the same time, technically nowadays, instead of waiting.
But I think also COVID threw a wrench into things when everyone was getting used to being at home watching things. I know it was a big deal. I remember Wonder Woman 1984 was kind of the big that came out. It was like, oh, I don't have to go to the theater. I mean, it was promoted like, we're going to put this out on HBO and you don't have to go to the theater because you could watch it on HBO day one.
It's like the whole controversy, and this is what I was going to circle back to. Scarlett Johansson in that Black Widow movie, where that was a same day release, if you could choose to do whatever. But that got all embroiled in controversy because of her and, whatever money was involved in her lawsuit, stuff like that. So again,
you're finding a lot.
Yeah, and Marvel movies were at the head of that, where Marvel movies used to be the closest thing to an event, I guess. Is that fair to say that?
Correct.
They were the closest thing to an event. Yeah, so you could look forward to that on the big screen if it was something that you really like. You're like, oh, I really want to go see that on the big screen. And that's not to say these guys next to me don't say that. I hear it all the time. Bob was like, oh my God, I gotta get day one first showing of that Furiosa. Like, I was a big fan of the John Wick franchise. You guys know that. When 4 was coming out, it was a no-brainer. That doesn't have to be filmed on the big screen. Like, that's not a lot of explosions and stuff. But I was like, I'm going to see that in a theater. But that's, again, I think that's our generation. We want to do that. The family of 4 that Bob just talked about, the patriarch of the family, whatever that is, if they're of a certain generation, they're the ones dragging the family to it, saying, we should go to the theater and see this on the big screen. And it doesn't have to involve the latest Disney flick for family fare. It could be anything, a Star Wars movie or something like that.
I'm going to come out of the COVID thing again because I think COVID conditioned people to be able to see things at home and sit around with your feet up and if their socks off. And now they're taking that into the theater, which I just went to see In a Violent Nature last night with my daughter. And I kind of talked her into going because I really wanted to see it. I'm like, hey, let's go check it out. So I'll go with you. So we went and saw it. And
wow, and Natalie went with you for a movie, huh?
Yeah. So sure enough, we go to a 9:40 showing. 9:40 showing. The parking lot is like full. We're like, wow, this is great. You go in. I took some pictures to kind of get an idea of how many people were there. It was a pretty decent amount of people at an Imagine theater on a 9:40 Saturday night. Get in the theater. It's in the small theater. I know it's a small release, an independent horror, what have you, but it's like 4 rows of seats. It's like the small theater in Imagine. And I'm in the back row, and then the row in front of us, these people, as soon as the movie starts, bright ass phone of, up to 100 on their brightness, scrolling and scrolling, or email.
What the fuck, dude?
I'm like, really?
Wow.
You have to go through this off and on about 3-4 times through the movie. And it's just like,
So is that where you need to bring out like I belong to the Fraternal Order of Ushers and pop out a flashlight and just
my little button.
Just say, put it down.
I did think that, like, back in the day, we had to enforce stuff in the theaters, and I just don't think theaters enforce they put that the catchy advertisement at the front. Please turn off your mobile devices. I don't even know if people listen to that anymore.
Well, we got lucky, man. As ushers, the worst that would happen, your feet are up, sir. Can you put your feet down?
Yeah.
Or hey, you're talking a little too loud around you. That was it. Those are the two.
Please keep it down.
Yeah, those are the top two. There might be. No, that's it. Those are the top two. Like, and in my career, I ejected one person. Because it was a drunk person, they wouldn't shut up. So I had to go round up the boys and be like, hey, you guys got to come down here and help me with this dude. Like, he's drunk. You don't want to leave. And, and then whatever's happening with that at that moment is distracting. You know what I mean? So God forbid, it's a good part of the movie. Yeah, man, you can't rewind the movie and stuff. So you're right. Things like that. That's all part of it. And even now, telling those type of stories, it's all part of why nobody's going to watch this stuff, dude. But, continue on with what you got, because, like, I just want to say COVID, I said it before when we talked about movies and stuff, COVID changed everything. And
everything, the paradigm.
Yeah, and that you've got to do something going forward.
Right, we should talk about positive.
Yeah, there's no going back. We can't do it. COVID changed everything. You're right. Once the first, and is 1984 the first time that you come across that? Wonder Woman 1984.
That was like the first big release. Yeah, they snuck that out. So
there was some that I think were like, let's do this at the same time type of release. And that
I thought you were getting a treat, like, wow, we could, because no one could go out, obviously. So we were like, it was like a treat to see something new.
Well, and COVID pushed back everything, because like I just like briefly with Maverick, I mean, that's coming out. That had been pushed around for 2 years during the whole pandemic. They held it, God love them. They were like, no, we're going to hold. But I think the Maverick scenario is not to our benefit, because the Maverick scenario was, I'm tired of being cooped up. They released that at the perfect time. So you talk about perfect storm stuff. Yeah, dude. Like, that's what I think about that movie. It's not overtly a great movie. It's got good practical effects and things like that. But I think people wanted to get out of the house.
It's the same movie, just 40 years later.
Yeah, for that generation.
I mean, it's
literally,
it's a popcorn movie, fun, that kind of thing.
No, but it's what movies were made to be seen, like at a theater screen,
right?
A big,
back in 1984, 86. Excuse me.
Right. So while we are the people that champion going to the movies, we're also the reason. And of the three of us, because I'm a troglodyte, you two in general are the reason that, the movies are declining, because you guys have home theater setups. And the way we watch home movies, the way we consume media now, especially home movies, and trust me, I'm only a troglodyte because I don't have the money to spend on it at the moment. But because advances in technology have given us the ability to have awesome sound and picture at home.
Yeah.
And the advances in media, 4K, it's never going to get any better than that unless you have a literal home theater built, and people do all the time, with theater seats and all that. So I'd posit to you guys, what movie theaters are doing now is trying to emulate the home theater experience with reclining seats and blankets and cuddle couches and I can get any kind of food I want to get, right?
But that cuddle couch thing, man. When Bob was trying to figure that out, he was like, "No, you can't see anything." Yeah, what's the view?
I'm like, what's the view?
Oh my god! Well,
Yeah.
are they promoting you not watching the movie? Are you just supposed to focus on?
know.
Oh, folks, we saw that was our Apes movie we saw, and they had a couple couches behind us. And Bob went up there and
at the end of the movie,
he
we're like,
tried everything to be like,
it out.
how does this work? And it was absolutely
like,
hilarious.
Jim, sit in front of me.
It was so funny. Yeah.
His head's like right there, and I'm like, I don't know how you can see over it, and it's just a lower seat.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not meant for viewing, and that's a pod for another day.
But movie theaters in general have been, they've always been looking for something to get you into the theater. In the 1920s, it was air conditioning. That was like one of the few places you could go that had air conditioning.
Yep.
And in the 50s, they're always pushing technology like Technicolor,
CinemaScope,
3D movies.
Oh yeah, that's right, 3D.
And pay television begins there used to be actual boxes on TV that you had to put money in to get certain things. Especially if you were very rural.
Yeah, that's way back in the day.
Yeah. That was Friday the 13th Part 2. I remember seeing on that box.
Oh my god!
It was like the advent of cable, and it was like whatever they called it, on TV or whatever.
On TV was and there was an TV
box.
and there was HBO. Yeah,
and then watching stuff at home.
Right, stuff at home. It begins then.
Yeah, we can't even begin to explain what a feeling that is. That on TV, man, that's it. For our generation, that was like
having a video store in your home.
That's crazy. It's just a crazy feeling. And if you didn't have the subscription, there's some troglodyte in a basement somewhere that's programmed it that it can come into focus for 2 seconds.
Oh, yeah. The black market.
And you're like, oh. I'm going to watch. I get to watch.
Trying to see between the lines.
Yeah. All the guys that jailbreak your Fire Sticks and all that were building, black market cable boxes.
Yeah, that's where they came
previously,
from. That's right.
So that's been going.
Oh, my God.
You're trying to watch the latest Bo Derek movie through a bunch of scrambled lines.
Through the squiggles, right? You might get a half a second.
Tarzan, what is it? Tarzan?
Oh, Tarzan the Ape Man. Holy cow.
Bolero.
Yeah, Bolero.
Oh,
my God.
Those are all famous. We were probably in middle school or something like that.
That's a pod for another day, man. The
oh my God, I caught something.
Oh my God, yeah. It's like you hope you could just see between those lines. I know what's going on, but I can't see it. HBO is the winner out of that, whatever happened, because they were one of the very first best subscriptions that you could get. They were 3 to 4 months. They were pretty good after a release of a movie of getting something. They were pretty good at it. Yeah. So
HBO, that animation on a Saturday night with
going across the city. Yeah.
That was a big deal.
They had to bring that back.
Yeah.
People were even, movies were even fighting regular TV. It's been fighting that forever as well.
Yeah.
Well, when we worked at the theater back in the 80s, was our theater one of the first to have alcohol as far as a bar attendance?
In the state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they were pretty forward thinking.
Yeah.
Cool.
They were they were ahead of the curve on that with the restaurant
dinner and a movie.
The food and the dinner and movie.
Folks, in our theater, we had a restaurant upstairs, and you could get a hella nice package of food. Good stuff. And tickets.
Like real top knot, yeah.
Yeah, it's like it was good stuff. And then I know
the over 21 club.
The over 21 club. There you go. Yeah. And I'm not sure how the alcohol worked because I don't know. I don't think you didn't go into theaters with it at first. I know that
you couldn't bring it in, right?
You couldn't bring it in. You had to finish it up, so you couldn't bring it in.
Because it was in the lobby too. Remember, it had the bar.
That came later, though. That was that was much later.
That's when I was there.
Yeah, it was all upstairs, coming down that back that
staircase.
Super
death
murder
trap
death trap of a staircase. Oh my God!
Mayan temples have less steep staircases than that.
We're talking about the Quo Vadis, which was a theater in the 70s and 80s, right?
Yeah,
90s.
Yeah.
So, but that was a good deal. That was bring people. That was a gimmick, if you will. You brought people out. We're going to have dinner and a movie. Right. Yeah. And it happened a lot. I mean, it was pretty popular, you know.
Where does it bring us now for as attracting people to theaters?
Right. So there it is. So now I make the trip. So the story goes with me, like if we're going to go watch a movie, I make the trip up because I like a particular theater that they have in their hometown. There's nothing wrong with the one I have, but it's a remnant of a forgotten time. It's, you know, there's the chairs are just, you know, they're there, and it's more
regular chairs.
Yeah, my era, you know, it's like, you know, they don't recline, they don't do stuff like that. They're just kind of there, you know, and it's, you know, packed house, like, you know, we got to get more seats. But I like the luxury. I like coming up to see that with you guys because, you know, I don't necessarily want to go all the way back in the chair and fall asleep or whatever, but you know what I mean? Like, I like that. And I like the fact that I could get a slushy and get a refill on it. There's perks to seeing it at that imagined theater that I don't get down here. So that being said, if it's regional, I'm more apt to drive my family, you know, an hour to all go to that type of event in that theater.
When we get a chance to see a movie, we get together. It's usually in the afternoon, early afternoon, late morning, whatever. And we've had pretty good luck. I don't think I've had any disturbances or anything like that. So maybe the day crowd was a little easier to deal with.
Senior matinees are our wheelhouse.
I don't know about that. So I haven't really thought about the you know, being disturbed in the theater stuff until I went to this nighttime show last night. It was just like it partially it just took me out of the movie and kind of bummed me out for quite a bit. And I don't know.
Well, horror movies typically are a rough crowd anyways, you know, and the people that make horror movies, they make all their money back in a weekend, and anything other than that is bonus. You know, typically a horror movie is not made for a great amount of money. There's not a lot thrown into it. The scripts are usually very simple. The execution is what's really cool, you know, like with the A24 group. You know, they're killing everything they put out for some reason, you know. So something like what you just talked about coming along, it's got a lot of buzz, but it's still going to hit that theater the first weekend, make its money back, and then nobody's going to really, it'll come to streaming for us, you know.
Well, it's the Shudder through, was it AMC?
Yeah, Shudder, I think they own it. Or they did, anyways.
They got a good little thing going. I like what they're doing. They did it with Late Night with the Devil. It's also a Shudder product, and they just kind of get that into a small release, make some money, and then it basically advertises Shudder. So it makes me like, oh, I wonder how I wouldn't mind checking Shudder out.
Right.
It's a pretty good model they got going. It's a small release. They don't have to, you know what I mean? they can make their money and then get it on the streaming and then get another one, make their money, get, you know.
Absolutely.
It's like a little model they got going. I think it's kind of interesting, but I don't know how it all shakes out for big releases, though. That's the problem. Like a Fall Guy. I know Jim saw Fall Guy, and he really liked it, right? So it's not like it's a terrible movie.
It's fun.
Like, I just don't get what the hang-up was, why it didn't sell a lot or whatever.
Maybe it didn't. I think it was the lure of the stuntman is not what it used to be. So
you think more of the story, just the story
I just
itself?
Think, you know...
topic.
Well, I don't think anybody was going to see the Fall Guy because they were like, "Oh, I remember that show; it was great. Let me go see the Fall Guy and see what they did." I think it was they probably went because Ryan Gosling's fun to watch, and so is Emily Blunt, and it's Ken and Mary Poppins are in a movie, so we're going to check it out. So, and they had good chemistry, and it was a fun movie, and it was a fun ride. But I think maybe being a stuntman isn't. Does a kid know what a stuntman is these days?
No.
I don't know. Maybe their audience was... Right. Everybody thinks things are done... All the stunts are digital.
Yeah.
So
does that mean that, say, Ryan Gosling is he not the leading man to hold a movie? Or, like, I think it's baffling. I don't understand. You know, then a Barbie comes out. I know he's not the star of it, but he's a co-star of it. You know?
Like, and if you don't have him in that, then that's a big miss, right?
Yeah, so
that's part of the secret of the success.
They killed it.
Yeah. So I'm like, I don't. Yeah. I'm like I don't know. Did did people go see Maverick because of Tom Cruise? Like, Tom Cruise is very polarizing, by the way. I.e., Dead Reckoning Part 1 came and went.
Maverick's a nostalgia visit. Yeah.
Top Gun is a cultural thing that I think a lot of people tap into and want to get that feeling again. They don't want to lose that loving feeling.
There it is. Now I'm going to laugh for 10 minutes.
That was filmmakers very aware of what made their movie their movie. They understood the assignment.
But again, take Dead Reckoning, which was supposed to be that summer tentpole movie. It came and went. In fact, me and my wife were like, did that even come out yet? It came out a month ago. It was like that. It didn't draw people like it was supposed to.
Would it being a part 1 bother people? That it's not a conclusion to a story?
I think that's a big portion of that.
That could have happened, yeah.
That's you telling me you're going to like this enough. You're assuming I'm going to like it enough to see part 2, which we all know we're all going to go see anyways, but...
Furiosa being a Mad Max saga with no Mad Max, is that what's hindering that one? I mean...
Yeah, because the Mad Max analog in that film is the movie I wanted to see. I wanted to see more about Praetorian Jack.
If Furiosa doesn't really do what they expect it to do, George Miller's going to go back to the drawing board, and he's going to get Tom Hardy again to make something.
I'd love to see that come out just to compare. Like, do people want to see Mad Max, or did they want to expand the world and see other stuff? And you would have empirical data to say, well, people like this more than this. I mean, if they didn't, maybe they don't. I mean, I'd love to see that comparison. So there's that time gap in between Fury Road and Furiosa. You also have, when you saw Fury Road, did you need to know more about Furiosa? I think we pretty much saw everything we needed to see. I mean, there's nothing, she's a great character in Fury Road, but I don't know if I needed to know all. I could have.
She's not a super deep character, right?
Yeah, it's like the Furiosa movie. There was quite a bit showing how establishing her as a child and what it's like an hour long, almost 45 minutes of her as a child. I'm like,
there's too much.
I wish they would have just picked up when we hit the ground running when she's at the Citadel. Right? I just would think that would be a better movie. But
a lot of stuff could have been a flashback, right?
Oh, exactly. And he's very good at that, showing flashbacks and establishing things. So, but this is not a review of Furiosa, but we're trying to show maybe some of these things have some faults inherent with it that are causing it to not do well at the box office. So we're hoping that that's what it is. And maybe the next movie coming out will be something really big.
It's a tentpole summer movie. That's what that was designed to be.
Yeah,
but is it meant to be that? Or is it because George Miller loves that playground and that's what he's making anyway? So plug that movie in anywhere. You know what I mean? Plug it at the end of the summer, plug it in May. Like
Christmas, plug it in.
Right. I think he's going to get the same reaction to that. Yeah, exactly. So what else do we get for the summer? And trust me, I'm drawing major blanks because what's the summer of 24?
You know what? It's going to be Deadpool Wolverine is going to be the summer.
Yeah, think so.
I'd like to see that do well.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that do well. The trailer looked really good on that. I'm not a giant Deadpool fan. I still was like, wow, I'd like to see that.
But that movie is getting the marketing and promotion it deserves. There's a lot surrounding that. My son-in-law is...
There's a lot riding on it.
Yeah, he's a huge Deadpool fan. In fact, on Memorial Day, we watched the first one all over again.
Marvel needs a hit.
Yeah, I don't know. Is that Marvel or is that Marvel / 20th Century Fox dying out? Like, I don't know.
There's a distance between the Marvel product. So, film-wise. So the last one we had was Marvel's, and was that last year?
Yeah,
in the fall.
So I've got a whole year. I don't have 3 Marvel movies coming out in a year. I've got 1 a year now.
And you're okay with that? I'm okay with that. So that's perfectly fine.
I'm okay with that too, because there's such a thing as too much, and they got greedy and they started cranking them out.
But here lies the problem, right? So my daughter loves the phrase, "Everybody's worst movie is somebody's best movie." Like, she loves that phrase.
Absolutely.
I bought the Marvels because I was a fan of the first one, despite. I'm not going to comment on the hate or whatever that it gets, but I was a fan and I liked what I saw for this. And I watched Miss Marvel. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I was like, okay. So we watched it, but the surprising fact that was really cool is like my wife loved it. She was like, this is a great movie. She's like, this might be my favorite Marvel movie. It made me watch it even more. I was like, oh man, this is really cool too. And the chemistry between the three. I'm not reviewing the movie, but it's like, I enjoyed it. Like I enjoyed that movie. But if you were to go online, read reviews and listen to people, you would think it was the worst piece of shit that anybody ever made, And
Yeah.
Did you see it in the theater? Did it bring you to the theater?
no, it didn't bring me to the theater. That's the thing. So now I think it would have been a spectacle movie. There were a lot of effects in it and cool stuff that on the theater screen, it probably would have looked a lot better. But again, I allowed myself to fall into it's not very good. I read this review and screwed up. I should have saw it on the big screen.
Right.
I really enjoyed it, So that's the thing. I think we got to be our own people and just say, I like this or I'm intrigued.
Right.
Bob, you're a huge horror fan, dude. You're going to champion a lot of these horror movies, which is great.
Seeing what's on the forefront. And I love creators that take big swings. And this is another that in A Violent Nature is another big swing, just like Late Night with the Devil. And if it doesn't, or Skinamarink, that was another big swing. And some of them don't hit the ball out of the park, but I enjoy seeing what's coming or what's next or what someone's thinking ahead. And that brings me to a theater to see something new. So
I agree with that 100%. I'm on a different genre level. So like horror won't do that for me, but I'll see something that's, maybe an action movie. And I'm like, man, it looks really good. I really like the way, and I like this guy, something like that. I wish I would have seen
actor or character.
What is it? Zissou?
John Wick brought you to the theater.
Yeah, John Wick brought me to the theater. That Zissou. Zissou would have brought me to the theater.
Yeah.
I slept on that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's like, what are we doing to, I don't know, as three individuals here, I don't know if we're doing anything to help the theater business. We're kind of caught in between. We're in the whirlwind.
Things live or die on social media these days.
Yeah.
We live in a negative culture. Everybody wants to have their snarky, fun take on something.
Yeah.
So if I can get a little quip out and get some likes, then
God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to kind of take that with a grain of salt a lot of times, right?
Right.
Like I don't look at a review for a movie. I mean, I've never paid attention to reviews for a movie because I know like Siskel and Ebert aren't into my cheesy horror movie that I want. That's not made for them.
But I don't trust them as much as the two guys sitting next to me. So if you guys go see something and you're like, obviously because you're my friends. I mean, come on, folks, that's what it is. I'm going to trust them about it. If you go see a movie and you're like, dude, that was really good, you should see that. Da, 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 Bob is usually the one who tries to, like, Bob will have to win me over the most because I'm not in his wheelhouse of movies. So if Bob sees something, he's like, and Bob won't just go see it, dude. I think you really like it. Like, you can break it down for me and tell me stuff and everything. I'm like, that's awesome.
I mean, we share like that Venn diagram of
Yeah.
things converge
something will cross over, right?
But then you got like Lord of the Rings and stuff that I'm not into, and I got like horror that maybe you're not as much into. But we do have the science fiction and action.
Well, like I didn't see the Devil Wears Prada. Devil Wears Prada. Jesus Christ.
And Late Night with the Devil. Late Night with the Devil that wears Prada.
Late Night with the Devil who wears Prada. Late Night with the Devil. I didn't see it. These two guys did. They actually talked really highly of it and stuff.
We did a review. Check out our video. Yes.
But I'll probably watch it when it comes out just because of the way you guys talked about it. It made it intriguing enough, even though it's not that part of the Venn diagram that I'm all about. And first of all, folks, stop complaining about popcorn and concessions. That's not going away. If anything, it's going to keep rising. Even when I worked in the theaters in the later years, it went up by $0.25 a month or a year at large popcorn. They got to do prices across the board. And for those who don't know,
that's what keeps the theater doors open.
Thank you. There it is. It's the concessions that the theaters get to reap the profits from, not ticket prices. That is set by usually motion picture studios because you have a star that you just paid $8 million for a movie. So those ticket prices are usually set by them. And there's a certain deal that's made to have the movie in that particular theater, but it is the concessions. So they, and I support that. I don't want to see any theater close.
Is there anything positive that we could say about what theaters can do, or are we just living in a way of in a time when things are just going to be what they are, and streaming is going to be there and taking bites out of the movie going population?
Again, with COVID, changed everything forever. We're not going back, right? So you've got to take into account streaming. That's fine. It's there. It's always going to be there. They're competing for your dollars as well. You just have to determine whether or not you want to give that money to the streaming service, like Bob is threatening to quit his current streaming service, which we had a nice, fun little talk about prior to this, which is fine because, like, Tubi is free. And I go down a rabbit hole of classic movies that you're not going to find anywhere else. For me, that streaming service is awesome. But I like to go watch movies in the theater, and I think theaters should offer more perks as well as giving us classic stuff for like the $5 or whatever that, we go see, things like that. I think all of that is going to keep, I think, our generation up to a certain point still going to the theater. When we saw the Apes movie, lobby was pretty full. Looking around, a lot of people were coming. We're in that, when we got out, it was in the afternoon.
Show.
Yeah. So the theater, it looked busy. It probably wasn't that busy. It's not like they were selling stuff out. But guess what? Everybody was in that concession line. Okay. So if you go to the theaters, folks, get concessions. It'll keep your theaters going. Go see some of the older movies if they do it. If your theater doesn't have it, request it. Tell them, hey, how come you guys don't do this? You'd be surprised that the fun nostalgia you get out of going to see those older movies on the big screen that maybe you never saw it on the big screen. Maybe you never saw an 80s movie on the big screen.
They got Jaws and Raiders coming to the Imagine in this month or two for Father's Day and 4th of July, and I'm like chomping at the bit wanting to see both.
Yeah, I kind of make it a habit. I usually go see Raiders on Father's Day for quite a few years now. I've always found a way to go see it. That's kind of my take on it. Jim, what you got, brother?
I'll have to totally agree with you on things like flashback cinema, where they're bringing old films back. Multiplexes, they face a challenge of filling up all those theaters and stuff. And if we look at, if I look at the screening for the Imagine Theater that we go to, there's always there's foreign films in different languages. They always have something there's going on there.
Right.
And so that diversity is good. Kind of keeps things interesting. They show anime, they show all kinds of stuff. So that is going to help keep movies alive. Filmmakers, not every movie needs to be 2.5 hours long. That's a big deciding factor in whether or not I get to go see a movie, right?
Yeah, What happened to the 90-minute movie?
Right. That people used to know how to tell a story in 90 minutes, right?
Right.
And those things mean less showings at a theater. I can't get 10 showings of Furiosa in because it's 2.5 hours long or whatever it is.
Right.
So I can only show it 4 times today. People said, if they haven't noticed now, people's attention spans aren't that long anymore. So,
well, Bob just said that at the beginning of his thing with the kids on the phone. Oh my God!
Phones, right?
Oh my God!
Right, and if you're relying on an older audience, our bladders aren't as strong as they used to be. So sitting through a 2.5 hour movie is gonna make me have to
32-ounce drink with you.
Yeah, my 32-ounce gallon of pop is gonna not help me.
Ooh, that's rough.
Theaters they'll always be around. I know that it's in the zeitgeist right now. Everybody's screaming that theaters are dying, and theaters have always been fighting for your attention. Since the get-go. So
let's give it a little more time. I guess we'll see how the summer goes.
Yeah.
Hopefully something
clicks. My grandkids, will they have theaters? I don't know. Maybe.
That's a good point. Well, I want to end this with something about Bob here because he saw a movie and he was so enamored of it. He was like, you gotta go see this thing. So I think this is what it is. I hope I'm telling this right. And we went to see it, and it was a foreign film, subtitled. And as a grown man, I was in tears at the end of it. It is now showing. It showed up on Netflix all of a sudden.
Netflix.
Yep. And my son-in-law was like, holy crap, did you see that? I was like, I did. So he watched it by himself the other day, dude. I just talked to him on Friday night, and he was like, that's one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. I was like, what? And he's not that guy. So folks, you gotta get out there. Like, just
what movie was
that? Was that Godzilla -1. So yeah, sorry. Just keep everybody in mystery here and stuff. So,
and we did a video on that. Please check it out.
Yeah.
Great story, great effects, great music, cinematography, effects. That's the kind of movie where you're like, it's a damn good movie. It's like you tell the people go see this
movie. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. And you don't have to, like, I see some of the faces, ew, what? A Godzilla movie and stuff. Forget that. Yeah. Forget that. He's probably in it less than 20 minutes, maybe, for lucky.
Right. Yeah. So, he's barely in it.
Human spirit.
It is. Thank you.
Well, let's see how it goes, guys. And hopefully keep an eye and report back at the end of the summer. See how it went.
Bob, take us out.
Thanks.
Thanks for watching, you guys, and our subscribers or people who are watching. We really appreciate you watching and supporting our channel. We're trying to build it as much as we can. Yeah. We've also been trying to interact with people through our social media on Facebook and Instagram. A lot of stuff we've been putting on Instagram, the stuff we collect, a little bit more personal objects and things that are involving pop culture and movies and stuff like that, and records.
Absolutely.
And whatever. We try to share stuff we love and share it with you on social media. So please check out our Instagram and Facebook. And tune in next time for us on the Fandom Outpost. And with that, I'm Bob.
I'm Jim.
And I'm Mark.
We'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.
Go to the movies.